So the objective of one of the linear dimension reduction techniques, which is called principal component analysis, quite popular and also quite fundamental because a lot of other techniques are based on that, is the following. So basically, let's say you have d original dimensions, capital D, and we want to find small d fewer dimensions. So basically what we want to do is we want to project data into small d directions such that all directions are orthogonal to each other and they explain the maximum possible variance of the data. So let's visualize this a bit. So let's say we have two directions x1 and x2. We have two variables x1 and x2, and in this variable, in this space, the data lies along one line or almost along one line. So it lies along one line, but there are some variations, there are some deviations from that line. So now if I find this as one direction, there is an orthogonal direction which I might be able to ignore, right? So I want to find the direction in which the variance is the maximum, because that way I will capture the maximum variance in the total data. Okay. So these directions, let's just call them unit vectors. So these are unit vectors. I want to find that unit vector, right? I want to find that unit vector along which there is maximum variance, and then in the second step I want to find the, so if it was more than 2 dimensions, let's say it was 3-dimensional data, in the second step I would want to find the next direction which is orthogonal to the previous direction, right, such that the what do you call it, such that the variance, the remaining, among the remaining variance, it is the maximum variance. Okay. So the outline of the algorithm for PCA is the following. The first step that we do is mean center the data. We will first shift the axis such that the axis, we will first shift the axis such that the axis is at the center of the data, is at the mean of the data, the centroid of the data. Okay. So why we want to do that? Because we want to deal with covariance matrices, which is where we will work from now on. Okay. So first do the mean centering of the data, okay, and then we will go in a loop. Okay. Then we start a loop, and in that loop basically we will repeatedly find the direction of maximum variance that is orthogonal to all the previously found directions. So when we are first starting out, then there is no previously found direction, so we will just find the direction of the maximum variance. That is the first principal component, the first principal direction, and then the second principal direction would be orthogonal to the previous direction but with the maximum variance. So it will basically be the maximum variance of the remaining variance. So to give you an example, so let's say now we have this x1 x2 space, and these are the data points. Okay, so the direction of maximum variance, now if we think about the center of the data, which is the mean of the data, from there we can have many different directions. We can have this direction, this direction, this direction, etc., right? So we find the direction which has the maximum variance, because that is the first principal component, and then we are only left with what is orthogonal to it in 2 dimensions. Whereas in 3 dimensions we would have an entire plane of directions in which we will have to choose the second direction, and then the third direction will be fixed. So once you have capital D minus 1 directions fixed, the last direction is fixed by the other D minus 1 directions. But for before you reach the last direction, you have a choice of finding the directions. For the first one you have the maximum freedom, then you have one less degree of freedom, then one less degree of freedom, and so forth. So how long do we keep doing this? Do we go through all the D directions, capital D directions? No, we stop at small d directions. So we stop until the percent of variance, desired percent of variance is captured, or the number of directions is number of dimensions is achieved. Like let's say we have either a stipulation that we want to capture 95% of the total variance, or we have a stipulation that we don't want to exceed more than 5 dimensions when we are doing PCA. Either of the two stopping criteria can be used to basically end the principal component analysis algorithm. So now let's look at these steps in more detail. Okay, so this is the complete PCA algorithm. Here the first step is that we want to do mean centering. So basically, if you have the data xi, right, we will compute zi, which is xi minus mu x. Mu x is basically the dimension wise mean of all the data points. Okay, so if your data matrix, what does your data matrix look like? So your x will belong to r to the power n cross d, right, and your mu x will belong to r to the power d. So basically the d dimensional. So all the n points, you will take the first dimension, take its average, you will take the second dimension, take its average, and so forth, and you will stack all those averages together and you will get the mu x vector. So you subtract that from each data point. So now overall your data on an average lies at the origin. So your zi is xi minus mu of x. Okay. Now we want to compute the covariance matrix of C, and the covariance matrix is nothing but we can take the Z transpose Z of the data matrix, okay, and divide it by n. Basically we can take Z transpose Z and divide it by n, each element by n. N is the number of data points, okay, and we will get the covariance matrix C. Now this covariance matrix, what is the dimension of this covariance matrix? This covariance matrix belongs to r to the power d cross d. Okay, keep that in mind. Not n cross n, but d cross d. This the number of dimensions times the number of dimensions. It's a square matrix. The other property of this covariance matrix is that C is a positive semi-definite. Okay. If you have a positive semi-definite, when we do its eigen analysis, we will get eigenvalues that are non-negative. Okay, so C can be eigen decomposed into a product of three matrices: U, lambda, and U transpose. So U transpose is just related to U. And what are these three matrices? These are basically based on the eigenvalue analysis, the eigen analysis. So if we take C and multiply it with a vector uj, we will get the same uj scaled by the eigenvalue lambda j. Right, so that is the eigen decomposition of the matrix C. So how many eigenvectors and eigenvalues we'll get? We will get d eigenvalues, and each eigenvalues will be paired with one eigenvector. And by convention, this is a unit vector. Unit vector, that means its L2 norm will be 1. Okay, so uj, u1, u2, u3 up to u capital D, they will all be unit vectors, and lambda 1, lambda 2, lambda up to lambda d, these will all be positive, non-negative real numbers, okay, for a covariance matrix, and they will satisfy this property that lambda j uj is equal to C times uj. Now here the other so how do we go from this unit vector to the matrix capital U? Basically we just stack all the vectors together. So we take u1 vector, we take u2 vector up to ud vector, and we stack them together into a matrix, and that becomes U. Okay. And what is lambda matrix? Lambda matrix is a square matrix, okay, where we have eigenvalue lambda 1, lambda 2 up to lambda d, and everything else is 0. Okay, so this is your lambda, capital lambda matrix. Okay. Now, what is the order of the eigenvalues? We can actually permute the eigenvalues, but the convention is that lambda 1 is greater than equal to lambda 2. Lambda 1 is greater than equal to lambda 2 is greater than equal to dot 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 lambda d. Okay, and it is greater than equal to 0. Okay, why it is greater than equal to 0? Because C is a positive semi-definite matrix by definition, because it's a covariance matrix. Okay, so this is the step up to the step of eigen decomposition. All right. Now here comes the principal component part. So what is basically these UI, U1, U2, U up to UD? These are basically different directions. These are unit vectors. These are directions in the d-dimensional space, and all these directions are orthogonal to each other. Okay. And if we pair them with their eigenvalues such that the U1 corresponds to the largest eigenvalue, U2 corresponds to the second largest eigenvalue, and so forth, then what we will get is that the direction U1 will capture the direction of the maximum variance, U2 will capture the orthogonal direction of the second maximum variance, U3 will capture the orthogonal direction of the third maximum variance, and so forth. Okay. So this is precisely what we need, because now this sets us up to discard certain directions that we don't need, certain projections that we don't need, because there the variance is very low. Okay, we can capture those with the maximum variance, and that variance is actually represented in the magnitude of the eigenvalue, the lambda 1, lambda 2, lambda 3, and so forth. Okay, so how we do this direction selection is that we will assume that this covariance matrix has an underlying dimension of small d now instead of capital D. And how do we do that? Basically what we say is that we will take a lower block of the lambda matrix and we will set all the eigenvalues to 0. Okay, so lambda capital D plus 1 to lambda small d plus 1 all the way up to lambda capital D. These ones we will not worry about. Okay, what we will do is we will set them to 0. Okay, in the process of setting them to 0, we are as if saying that those directions don't matter, we are setting the u also to 0, u d plus 1 to u capital D. So basically what we will get is that we can now have a decomposition where this C small d is very similar to capital C in the sense that it is capturing all the covariances or approximating them. If we take that, we will now have a smaller lambda in the sense that it will have only d non-zero entries, small d non-zero entries. Okay, we will have all the d minus d eigenvalues set to 0. Okay, so we are dropping those dimensions. In fact, we can actually make a U matrix where we take the upper portion from d plus 1 to capital D and we can set it to 0, not set it to 0 but just not use them at all, and we can shrink the lambda matrix also to small d times small d. Okay, so now this is the new approximation of the covariance matrix, and we can project the data from Z to the desired subspace Y, with where the dimension of Y in the dimension of small y is only small d, not capital D. So how we do that? We take the data matrix Z and we multiply it with UD, where basically these are the first small d eigenvectors. So what are the dimensions here? Your your y is of dimension n cross small d. Okay, Z is of dimension n cross capital D, and UD is of dimension capital D cross small d. Okay, so this is the projection, and this is how we get small d numbers for the capital D numbers, such that these small d numbers capture the variance that was associated with the capital D numbers, and they represent orthogonal directions. Okay, those orthogonal directions are captured in UD. If we desire to reconstruct the data, that is quite simple. Basically, we will have a reduced we will have the data reconstruction in the original capital D space, okay, by basically multiplying this y with again UD transpose. Okay, so you can do the math. Basically, this all the three things that you see in this equality, they will be of size n cross capital D. And the reconstruction error can be the Frobenius norm of the original data matrix, okay, minus the reconstructed data matrix, and it is related to this lambda minus lambda d. So basically, we are only discarding the variance proportional to the discarded the eigenvalues. Okay, so which is, this basically is equal to the sum of I is equal to 1 to D lambda I, okay, small d. Sorry, this will be I is equal to D plus 1 to capital D. So this is basically what we will not be able to reconstruct. This much variance we will not be able to capture. So this principal component analysis is quite useful, and it is quite standard for using for basically capturing the underlying variance and reducing the dimensions. Before deep learning came into use for face recognition, some researchers have tried with eigenvectors, eigen projections or principal component analysis projections of face images, and try to use that for face recognition. So basically, imagine if you have face images, all of them are 100 by 100. So your data lies in a 10,000 dimensional space. Now this 10,000 dimensional space, and let's say you have 100,000 faces, you can do a principal component analysis and reduce it to 7 dimensions. Okay, so the first dimension will capture the sort of like the average variation face behavior. Second would capture the deviations that are left from the first one, and the third will capture, and so forth. So these are the 7 principal component analysis, 7 principal components of face images. Okay, so you can see that this looks like an average face, not an average face, the first deviation from an average face. So if you take an average face, we are subtracting the average. We will either add or subtract some portion of this, then we will add or subtract some portion of these. So these two will capture most of the changes in most of the variation in different face images, and then we can keep adding the components. Up to 7 of them can reconstruct the face image quite well, is what was found. And because of that reconstruction, these 7 dimensions were also enough for face recognition.